We are a locally owned and operated radio station that's dedicated to telling the story of St. Louis day in and day out. Small business, that's exactly what we are. We are owned by St. Louisans for St. Louis. And I say that because we got an email from our next guest who is a St. Louisan who probably wouldn't get a lot of attention. But the fact that she reached out to us, and we love to tell stories that aren't being told elsewhere. Andrea Scott joins us, a.k.a. Miss Impactor. You're a local elementary teacher and a Harris Stowe adjunct instructor, correct?
Yes.
And you've written some children's books.
I sure have.
Tell us about the first one.
The first one, Smile Big, Dream Bigger, is a bilingual book, Sonrisa Grande, Sueña Grande. So basically, it was a book that I dedicated to my elementary students, and I just wanted them to smile big with their hearts and dream those big dreams. And this book was basically based off the events that happened in Ferguson. And as you know, a lot of schools were closed, but once they came back to the schools, I definitely saw a difference, not in their behavior, but like how they believed in their work and just their overall just thoughts about things. So I thought, as an educator, what can I do? Because, of course, they've seen it everywhere, but it was like, how do I do my job as an educator to talk about this event, but still motivate them to continue to, strive in life? So it got to the point to where, there were moments in the day where we'll just close the textbooks. And I'm like, we're going to have un corazón a corazón. We're going to have a heart-to-heart, and we're going to talk about how you guys feel, because a lot of them weren't able to express themselves, well, in the classrooms for sure. So it just went from them expressing themselves to then it was like, well, Professor Andrea, you make your, everything is great, but they wanted to know, they wanted proof. So I start talking about my childhood experiences, and it really, hit home with a lot of them, because a lot of them were very similar to me, growing up in a neighborhood where you don't see many leaders and you don't really get to see, more positivity. So once I started talking about my life and how, my life or childhood was very similar to them, but I just took on a different initiative. I learned Spanish when I was told I would never learn Spanish. I traveled to more countries than states, and I just started doing those things that society told me that I wasn't going to be able to do. And once my students heard that and I guess learned more about me, it inspired them, not just me, but the story and everything I was, doing. So I came out with just taking notes every night after our discussions. And then one day, like a few weeks after I was doing our Hearts to Heart, Corazón a Corazón, I found out in the classroom that a very good friend of mine had passed away due to violence in St. Louis. So it was like, now it really, it hurt before with Ferguson, but like now having someone who I actually, knew to pass away, and I found out while I was at work. It was really hurtful or hurtful.
So you dedicated this first book, Smile Big and Dream Bigger, to your friend?
Yes.
Okay. Now, is this for teachers? Is this for young kids? Or who's buying this first book?
Everyone's buying it. It's the age group is kindergarten through 6th grade, because that was the elementary school level I was working for. So I wanted to dedicate that book to them. But I'm also a professor at Harris Stowe, and I teach Spanish. So a lot of my students even use that book because it helps them to.
Right, it's a good introductory learning English.
I love a couple of things. I love that it's a bilingual children's book, and I love that the main characters are brown.
Yes.
For a children's book, you don't see a lot of that.
Yes. And that's one of the things I definitely, when I spoke with the illustrator, who's a great friend of mine, Davion Coleman, I'm like, I want to create a book of characters that look not just like me, but like my students in the classroom. And I want them to see, this throughout, as many literatures or books that I'm going to write. So I made sure that my first character was as chocolate as I am. So
Andrea Scott, the first book is, I'm reading the Spanish side.
It's the Spanish version.
Smile Big and Dream Bigger. Now, do you follow this up with a second book, The Bigger the Fro, The More I Know?
Yes, I do. So I kind of went backwards, whereas the main character, Samantha, she's now younger. I was giving another position at Harris Stowe to now include a Spanish curriculum at their William Clay Center. So all of those kids from the age of 2 months to 5 are learning Spanish. But one thing I saw in the difference was when I went on tour, I wanted children to not just dream big, but have more confidence in themselves. So I wrote this book, The Bigger the Fro, The More I Know, FRO being an acronym, you finally realizing originality. I want individuals to understand that you're original. So no one's going to look like you or talk like you, and that's okay. So this was a book that I wanted to coincide with Smile Big, Dream Bigger, because I believe that you can't smile big or dream bigger if you don't have confidence within yourself.
And where do we get these books?
Both books are available on Amazon. Both books are also available at my website, notyourordinarylady.com.
Love it.
And then they're also available at the Left Bank bookstores, and the Smile Big, Dream Bigger is available at the I See Me bookstore and the Progressive Educational Center in St. Louis.
And you're still a professor at Harris Stowe?
Yes, I am.
You're a busy lady.
And you're still a 6th grade teacher?
No, so what I do in the morning, I teach my adult class, the Spanish class, and then after that I go downstairs and I teach the younger ones.
Where does your love of Spanish come from?
My love of Spanish? Oh, wow. Well, in high school, we had to learn 3 languages, Spanish, German, and French.
What high school?
At Lindbergh High School.
Okay.
So I knew after listening to the songs and eating the food and just falling in love with the culture, I knew it was something about Spanish that just hit me. So when I got into college, I had to take another Spanish class, but it wasn't as simple as in high school. So I decided to go to Costa Rica as a study abroad, not knowing any Spanish, but that really hit me because I had professors who were telling me that, you know what, go find another language. This Spanish isn't working for you. But I stayed dedicated, fell in love with the culture, the people. And the Spanish, one day I just woke up dreaming in Spanish, talking in Spanish, and now I'm teaching it. So
it's a great story. What's the website again?
Notyourordinarylady.com.
She is definitely not your ordinary lady. Andrea Scott, a.k.a. Mrs. Impactor, elementary school teacher, Harris Stowe professor. The books, Smile Big and Dream Bigger. And the bigger the fro, the more you know.
The more I know.
The more I know.
The more I know.
Yes.
Thanks for coming in. You're always welcome here.
Thank you.
Thank you.